Yeah, it's been 2 weeks since we did this. Can you believe it? I'll hit all of the news for this week. Thursday, Film 3 Space. We are interviewing Fabian from Glyph. We'll be talking about their platform and what it allows you to do for AI creations and also creating infrastructure for AI creations. Cool platform if you haven't played with it. This month's audiobook release is The King in Yellow, The Mask by Robert W. Chambers. It's available on all of your favorite platforms. Do please check it out if you have not already. Also, the article for the month for writers on how to get started if you are inexperienced is available. A couple of tips and tricks to get off of the blank page. It's available on Substack, no charge. You can check that out. Subscribe and get it dropped to your inbox every single month. Also, the session from 2 weeks ago of this space, writing, publishing, and authorship, is now available on podcast platforms, wherever you should like to listen. That's Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Pandora and Audible. The list goes on. There's Pocket Casts. There's this weird stuff that pops up in the stats every once in a while. You can't even keep track of all that stuff occasionally. Also, pre-order for next month's ebook and audiobook has begun. Love, Death, and Explosives. Thomas Pynchon's Polypsychology. It's a nice medium-length essay on Thomas Pynchon's work and postmodernism, all sorts of stuff. We got Neil coming up. Hey, you are up on stage. We're hanging out. How are you? What are you doing? Are you ready for Gen 48 this weekend?
I don't even know what Gen 48 is. Yeah. No, I will not be participating in Gen 48. I haven't signed up. What's their new?
Aleph.
What's that?
Aleph is the new thing.
Yeah, what? It's just better. Is that all it is?
Not. That's not how I would contextualize it. I would say it is more or less a platform for in-painting and for being able to swap elements more natively within a video clip. That's how I would frame it. So it's not a full model. It's just a feature set. What's up, Guns? If you want to come up, raise your hand.
Do they have to know what, can I just create something on some other platform and then just submit it?
You are allowed to use, I think, don't quote me on this, I think it's like 70 to 80% of the material that you put into the contest needs to be made on Runway. Will they know that?
Yeah, that's my next question.
I suppose. I mean, they can look at your account on the back end and tell if you made such and such clips over the course of that 48 hours, if that's what you're asking. I mean, that's a very easy thing to answer for them. Everything doesn't need to be made. Yeah, well, definitely. But everything doesn't need to be made on the platform. But it does. It is a very high percentage of the material needs to be generated on the platform. And I would assume within that 48-hour window.
Michael, why is being a successful author so challenging?
You would have to ask somebody else because I am not a successful author.
What's that?
You're breaking up on me a little bit. And also my answer was you would have to ask somebody else because I am not a successful author.
Is it harder than kind of the other kind of art, in air quotes, mediums, whether that be, I would consider, poetry as a different medium, images, video. I'm sure I'm leaving some other categories out. Writing seems extremely time consuming. So I think that
there are very fast writers. I am not one of them. Here's what I will say, though. As somebody who has done music and film and books, I will say this. In terms of pursuing a successful music career in any sort of elevated sense, that is by and large in 2025 the most difficult one, because that industry has been very buttoned up for a very, very long time in a way that I don't think a lot of people understand, in terms of like the legal aspects and the networking and all sorts of stuff. I cannot complain about music. I came out ahead on music. I made money in music, but I did all kinds of different stuff. If I was trying to pursue music in the last decade, I would focus purely on being a solo acoustic act and making recordings very basic, maybe putting them out only on Bandcamp, and booking like regional and doing like a mix of original and cover material. That worked. That made money. And I taught lessons, and I did a handful of other things. That form of things is stable. Trying to push up beyond that without real management or assistance, that's when things start to get really messy. Now, on the film side of things, super interesting place to me, and perhaps to you as well. It takes a lot of heavy lifting. It is the most complex production of all those three things that I mentioned: books, music, and film. It takes the most kind of like dotting the I's and crossing the T's across the board. But in terms of like what you have to do to make it in that, if you're doing a big production, man, it can be outrageously expensive. However, my documentary that's out, broke into profitability on the day one it was released, because I did it all myself, and it cost me no money to make. That said, like, getting distribution is tough. It is a long road in that way to dig up and understand and sort out. It does take a lot of diligence in terms of the technical requirements. The broader you try and get distribution, the more there are. I've been lucky to get 3 things distributed over the last X number of years. That's astounding to me still, even today. It blows my mind. I would love to work on more stuff that gets distribution in the future. That is definitely my intent for next year. Now, in terms of books, again, all of my books are in profit. Both books and film, totally profitable. Music-wise, I have friends that are still technically, they owe money to record labels. I don't. I made money off of music, playing out and doing all kinds of stuff. But some of the worst investments I made were making records, and not necessarily the recording part, because I was able to manage some of that, but the getting CDs pressed was outrageously expensive back in the day, and it still is. That side of things, it was just so cost inhibitive. And vinyl is the same way. If you don't already have an audience, I have copies of CDs that I pressed years ago and have never done anything with. I'm just sitting on them. Lots of them. So that side of things is very tough. I have no DVDs of movies sitting around. I've never made them, you know. I assume there is a way of doing that. Amazon pulled down their digital manufacturing hub, so you could go to Amazon and get CDs made and DVDs made and a handful of other things. Now the print on demand offering they have is exclusively books, as far as I'm aware. That aspect of things has been great. Now, there is a lot going on in terms of the discussion in regards to books and Amazon and print on demand and Audible and exclusivity of those platforms and going wide and distributing on other platforms and competitively. When I started doing that stuff in 2019, I was very happy to keep it simple. Now that I've been doing it for X number of years and I have a catalog and I'm learning more about what is working with my audience and what is maybe seasonally attractive to different audiences or different sectors of my audience, there's things I'm thinking about over the next year or two that I would like to implement and test over time. That's not to say that everything I've done has worked. Some things haven't. Some things I've done just because I wanted to do them. Sometimes things sneak up and surprisingly manage to be like significantly more successful than other projects. Tartaria being amongst those. Anunnaki kind of beginning to dip its toes into thinking about that conversation, I suppose you might say. That said, have been, and this, was super lucky to have sponsorship from entertainment to make that video initially that got turned into an ebook that I would have been able to pursue distribution for and things like that. So all that stuff kind of stacks on top of itself and you learn additional lessons and you see kind of what works. That said, books cost me no money to make. You could make them really expensive if you want to get some other narrator. I do that myself. An editor. I have beta readers, alpha readers, beta readers, and beta listeners checking the work. Does that mean it's perfect? Almost certainly no. But then again, I listen to professional audiobook productions and read professional book productions, and they're also not perfect. So I'm seeing and hearing this stuff out there. I'm doing the best I can. That said, all of my releases are profitable. And because of keeping the cost as low as possible and trying to, find what hits and allowing things to be a slow burn, it really surprises me when I started gathering up data early last year, just how much the branding material has moved. I also thought the national park stuff was vastly underperforming compared to how much work I put into it. That's not totally the case, actually, it turns out, luckily. Now getting into fiction, I can tell you, new lessons from that is find and write within genres and topics that have an audience around already. My audience, which for the first 4 years of writing was nonfiction, real hard to transition them over to my fiction work. Not a lot of overlap. What's up, Neil?
Do you ever feel it like you're put into a box because of that? So you've had success with a certain audience and a certain genre, so now you've got to continue to play in that box?
I don't ever feel that way.
No? Okay.
I don't. There's things I want to double test and see if was that experiment replicable? And if it turns out that it is, then awesome. If it turns out that it isn't, well, then I'm going to do another test and see what happens. I can tell you, having done nonfiction exclusively for a handful of years and then getting into fiction, fiction has a much bigger audience, at least willing to try stuff. And also the price points that I'm putting out my fiction at are just vastly lower than what I was able to do nonfiction at because of the pictorial elements and stuff.
Can you explain that more? Why is there a big price difference?
Yeah. So when I did the Chicago 1893 book, and when I did the first couple of national parks book and putting them out on Amazon, I wanted the best paper to be able to hold the color ink and give people a really great experience with those books. So it means that the print cost per book goes up significantly compared to exclusively editorial. When you're just printing words, you can print it on cheap paper and you don't have to be concerned with color printing. So you're able to manufacture books that are much cheaper in cost and price. Those are two different things. So the cost of the print and the price at retail. That said, every experiment I've done, I've learned more and more and have gotten to be able to like hold this stuff and look at this stuff and understand how it works better and better.
What's the markup on that?
Kind of depends on the factors that you choose. So,
I mean, 20%, 40%?
Again, it really matters. It depends on the paper, the print, color, or black and white. There are cover quality things that are a factor too. Page count. So like, you can try and make a really long book, but then you have to like raise your price a lot because the per page cost to print it goes up with every page, over a certain amount. It might not be viable for you to sell that book because you're going to have to put the list price at like $30 or something. And that's like not, for an indie author, people giving you a shot, it's very tough to convince them to spend that amount of money on something, particularly like fiction or whatever. Like people are willing to spend, low dollar amounts, like $10 on new fiction for a paperback. Not too bad. They're willing to spend less money for ebooks, say $2.99. And if you are pricing your ebook at $2.99 and you're below 10 megabytes on Amazon, well, then you can make 70% of the sale. That is pretty good in the grand scheme of things. So like that's just one example, but it goes down, a lot from that. If for a 99 cents ebook, the royalty rate is like 35% on Amazon. So you're making like 35 cents a copy. Now, with that said, that might not be vastly different than the traditional publishing world. Because of all these different costs, maybe they give you an advance, which at this point is almost unheard of. Other things that come into cost, say a lit agent might take 10 or 15% of, whatever you negotiate with a publisher. Other costs that go in there, if you're doing marketing, paid marketing, a lot of traditional publishers aren't doing marketing for you unless you are an established name that they know are going to move X number of units, plain and simple. There in 2024, there were like 4 books in fiction or whatever, or actually a total that moved 1 million copies. Okay. That's outrageous. And it going down from there, like the top X number of books or whatever. And I saw this list not too long ago. It starts dropping down. a lot. They're just the average book, and this is across the board. Indie or traditional publishing is moving 100 to 150 copies. Okay, like, it's not a lot. It's very low. That said, like, I have a couple that have broken through that, and that's the stuff that I've had the longest out, and they'll continue to build on that. That said, there's newer stuff that I've got that's like in that range and preparing to go beyond that. So that, that's cool. It's hard to, I would say, know necessarily how something's going to go. If you've got time and you've got the network, then you can push stuff. If I had a choice, and I do have a choice, but if I could make the choice, I suppose I might add that in. I would probably spend the majority of my time doing video because it's easily the best return. But hey, you have to write a video too.
Explain that to me, because where are you generating revenue off of videos?
Amazon and Filmsy for Anunnaki.
Yeah. That's what, 2 in 2 years I've seen from you? No?
Yeah. But those are the only 2 that I've actually pursued for distro.
Oh, no. Well. Yeah, no. It's not a slight against you. Yeah, the 2 that you've made are the ones that I've seen you make. Yeah, those have been, yeah.
It's hard, dude. Like, to be able to get your stuff ready to submit and push it through. There was one other one that I submitted to Amazon that was rejected. Like when we did the contest with Chris that he did with the Cameras Up contest, I pushed that one through, and that was rejected. Probably for a number of reasons. It didn't have any dialogue. It was incredibly short. That said, there's other stuff that I could potentially package and maybe gather up and try and do as like maybe a series or something like that. But again, the amount of time to push that stuff is high, and also the likelihood in terms of like SEO for it being found now is tough. I could be pushing eyeballs at that, but if I'm going to spend my time, I want to push eyeballs at stuff that I know moves, like the Chicago 1893 project, my national park stuff, the branding stuff, Tartaria. There's an audience out there for that. The Anunnaki thing, there's an audience out there for that. Those are the ones that I have found to be the most viable and valuable to spend the time on.
So you're slowly hoping that 12-mile long ship actually is the Anunnaki, then, because your sales will be through the roof.
What do you mean, the 12-mile long ship?
Oh, astronomers, and there's back and forth on this.
Oh, good call. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, people like weird conspiratorial type of stuff, mysteries of the universe, and the Gnostic. So I don't mind making the stuff. I like making it. I like playing around with the imagery and writing it and all the tools and going through some of the exercises to make them multimedia experiences. That's cool to me. That said, yes, I want them to do well and make money and stuff, but like, I also just like creating this stuff. I'm going to make something,
Do you ever put pictures in your ebooks?
Yes. In fact, the Tartaria ebook has pictures. The Anunnaki ebook has pictures. So, as do the national parks ones, as does the Chicago 1893 one, as do the branding books. They have pictures in them.
What's your next story? What's your next subject?
The next one is Love, Death, and Explosives, Thomas Pynchon's Polypsychology. That's going to come out next month. And then I've got a paperback I'll put out in November. I've got another National Park standalone release that I'll put out in October. And then I've got one more fiction short story audio drama I'll do in December. So that's everything slated for this year. And then I'm going to reposition a little bit because I'm not going to do an audiobook a month next year. I can guarantee you that. It's just too strenuous. I do want to get back into video stuff, and also I know what I'm going to produce next year in terms of books and audiobooks, but as it is right now, it's going to be a much reduced schedule in that sense. Like, I'll probably end up putting out like 3, maybe 4 or 5 ebooks, audiobooks next year, depending on like how things go, essentially. But yeah, there's 3 things I've got kind of like in mind that I can manufacture for next year. So that's what I've got.
Do you find it's easy working with another person on a certain project, or is it too difficult?
I mean, I was in a band, for a long time, and we did original music, so I don't mind working with people on creative stuff, so long as like everybody kind of has a strong point, and making that like their real kind of focal part of things, and meeting the deadlines and meeting their obligations. Yeah, so I don't really mind about that. That doesn't really bother me. I don't mind working with people. That said, I like to typically like have projects where I'm collaborating, but then I like to have stuff where I'm doing it kind of solo on my own as well, just because it's like a good balance. And like, if you're waiting on something to hit a deadline with a group project, you can always still work on your stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's that?
I like getting feedback from other people. Actually working alongside them. It's tough.
Yeah, I've never.
Just from a stylistic standpoint.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, in terms of visual style, like, you're great at that, and like better than me for sure. Like, not even that doesn't even need to be said, but in that sense, obviously, like the stuff that we've worked together on, like your visual knowledge and capability, your strengths there. I'm happy to defer to you and just give the feedback on it, just to kind of like help the creation process or the curation process move forward. That's the way I think of it. Like, I'm generally a slow writer. I would say I'm an ineffective visual artist. I mean, I can do photography, and like I can use the image models and stuff to make things, but in terms of them being art, or artistic integrity on that side of things, I have none. I don't claim to.
Yeah, me either.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife got a Kindle recently. I don't know what drove this, but she's an absolute passionate reader right now, and I cannot get that thing off her eyeballs.
Tell her to get my books.
I will. Are you hoping that you get sued by Netflix for this Love, Death, and Explosives?
I don't think I will be, because there's nothing there that is necessarily like, there's not enough there. You know what I mean?
I don't know. That skull looks a lot like the skull that I see before each episode.
I mean, a skull looks like a skull. Like, it's going to be tough. I did definitely like make them look different enough. I mean, and not be oriented around that. And also, like, it's not a brand; it's just a title with some imagery, and like, it's fine.
If you say so.
Yeah.
No, there's no bad press though. So.
Hey, if they come after me, gosh, you know,
Be awesome.
Wait, they don't even have a skull in their thing, in their logo.
No, like how, like before each episode, it does like the where my thing is that Black Mirror that does that.
I don't know.
It has like the 4 little quadrants with the icons. So anyways.
Yeah, no, I definitely leaned on their aesthetic, but it isn't the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's completely different. They have like a weird. Their death is just an X. It's not a skull. And then they have a robot thing, and I don't have a robot thing. I have a bomb. So like, no, I don't think so. I think like they'd have a really hard time making the argument that there's like infringement there when like the icons are different. It's not arranged the same way. I use a plus sign. Like, who cares? It's fine. You know. It's not the same font. It's not the same colors. Like, yeah.
What are 2 significant changes that you've seen over the past few years in terms of publishing?
People becoming very vocal about, I guess, like, I think the dominance of like hyper liberal culture, kind of controlling that vertical and pushing out other voices that don't toe that line. I think that's like a major change that's occurring right now this year. And while it was like certainly something that was getting talked about over the last couple of years, it's really kind of pushed to the forefront. I would say also like the prevalence of audiobooks and how necessary it is to basically be a part of. I actually did a webinar earlier today with an audiobook distributor. A woman was talking about audiobooks and like, you know, doing a cost breakdown of some of that stuff. And like, obviously I do my own narration, whereas like if you have somebody narrate your book, it can cost you thousands of dollars, which basically, like, I mean, if you're going to put out a book from top to bottom, when I look at some of these platforms talking about it, they're basically outlining $5,000 to $10,000 worth of cost to put out one book. And as I said before, the average book, trad or indie, is selling 100 to 150 copies. Go ahead and do the math on what you need to price your book at if you are incurring costs of, you know, $5,000 to $10,000. Yeah, you know, they're losing their ass on that stuff. And indie people that get suckered into some of the predatory schemes that are out there in the indie world, like, have to be cognizant of that stuff. Like I said, I've always done this stuff. I've been in media for a long time. So like, yes, some things I've done have been bad. I improve them over time. It's okay to change your cover. It's okay to make edits on a manuscript and resubmit that to KDP. All those features are there. If you catch something or you want to change graphics out or you want to add a section, like, it's perfectly fine. The Chicago 1893 book has 3 editions. The first edition, those are collector's items now. You know, it's fine. Those would be the kind of things I would say. So like, I think that we're going to see like a really big ideological shift in traditional publishing. Not this year, probably not next year, but over the next couple of years, we're going to see probably that, and more broadly media shifting a little a little away from like very radical positions. And then audiobooks, I would say that I don't want to say that it's going to go up more. I would say that like we're kind of peaking on that, where we're hitting like critical mass to the point where it's like you must have an audiobook out to be competitive in your publishing endeavor. I think that's kind of where we're at. I would say the next thing to be thinking about, and obviously you and I talk about this and talked about this earlier and think this way, is to have like a multifaceted approach to what you're doing. Maybe you've got imagery, maybe you've got editorial, maybe you've got audio. Well, put them all together and then you can make video. And now that's an additional product. So I think that more of these books are going to be really thinking about how do we package or couple a video product along with this editorial or this audiobook. And that's something that, happily I've been thinking about for a long time and been doing. The documentary that I put out for Chicago 1893 came out 1 year after the book. So it came out in 2020. I've been doing video collections for the national park stuff just as long. My branding book, that also has a course that's available. And I'll be doing volume 3. The fiction stuff I've been doing, those have obviously video components as well. So that's something like being multivariate, multimedia, however you would like to phrase it. That I think is not in those 2 points that you asked about, but the thing to think about in the future.
How many characters is Love, Death, and Explosives? The words or letters?
I don't know. Did you count them?
No, I didn't. Ballpark.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, plus the plus sign. So that's 20. And then you've got 3 spaces. So 23 characters. I could be wrong, but yeah.
No, in the book. In the book.
Oh, how many characters?
I mean, 10,000, 50,000 words? How many characters?
Oh, wait. You want to know how many characters are in it? Let's see. I don't even know. 40,000, a little over 40,000 characters right now. It's just under 7,000 words. So it's not incredibly long.
When's that releasing?
September 1st.
Good.
Why?
I don't know. I tried the whole podcast, like book to podcast thing. It's doable. It's super messy. I thought it would be easier.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'll do the yeah. I thought it would be easier. Okay. I will do the recording of the audiobook thing on this probably next week, because this week is going to be tough. And I've still got it out to a couple of beta readers who I'm waiting for last minute feedback on. I have like a little bit more to write. I might even try and wrap that up today. And then I'm going to do layout on Monday for this so that I can submit it, and it'll be I have to get it in within a certain amount of time for pre-orders. And then I'll switch gears over to the audiobook production so I can make sure that that's out in September as well. But yeah.
Does this story lend itself to video?
This is nonfiction. So this is actually like an assessment of the writers of Thomas Pynchon's canon and like his place within literature and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
This isn't fiction. It's not a short story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of like academic in a very loose sense.
What questions do you have for me, Michael?
Do you want to read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to stay on topic here with your space. Yeah, writing just seems. Yeah, it's probably my just lens. It just seems so time consuming to create a good enough work product.
Well, I think that you can do small stuff to kind of stretch out.
Yeah.
You can do blogs, where, I'll put out a blog once a month on Substack that's only, anywhere between 500 and 2,000 words, and I have a month to do it. That's pretty reasonable. Now, the other side of that is doing books where I'm, not just like rapid fire. I'm doing like legit research. That does take a long time. This piece I've been working on, I've been doing since like April, and it's only, like I said, it's under 7,000 words, so it's not incredibly long. I am a slow writer, but also this is a highly detailed editorial. I would say it's like I said, it's like probably postgraduate level collegiate reading. If you were wanting to assess it in that way.
So it's not a book made out of cardboard.
It's not even going to be a book. It's just going to be an ebook. It's not long enough, I don't think, for print. Maybe it will be. I don't know. I got to see once I start laying it out, but I don't intend to do a paperback out of this. Maybe in the future, if I revisit this in maybe a year or two. So Thomas Pynchon is releasing a book in October, which is why I've bumped this up to a more pressing release, because I want to get it out before he puts out his book. If I come back to it in a year and I have more to say, which is totally viable, then I'll write more and I will re-release it. And if it can become a proper paperback, then I'll do that at that time. But that's a whole other can of worms. I got to just get it out the door in its current state first.
Have you ever talked to him?
No one talks to him. That dude is more reclusive than me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I figured you're writing a book about him.
I like him.
You should be able to.
Lots of people have written books about him.
Yeah, no, but you're Michael. You should be able to do the epilogue or something. I don't know.
He doesn't care about me.
That's what you think.
Well, I feel confident in that position. We can ask Julianne. She came up to stage. What are you thinking about? What do you have comments on, questions on? What would you like to promote? What are you doing today? How are you?
Hey, so I guess you're talking about like having not just the book, having all these other different things connected to it. Like one thing I was thinking of doing is like with my fantasy novel, having like a metaverse experience attached to it.
A lot of work.
Yeah, I guess it depends. I mean, some things could be simpler, some more complicated. I guess I'll just see how the cookie crumbles.
I mean, I can just tell you, just write it first, Julianne. I'm going to tell you right now, get that thing out the door. Once you start dealing with like 3D graphics and environments and extended reality, it's a lot of work. There's no simple parts about it. And like you can make something that's almost like unpopulated and very experienced more or less like a desert, but nobody's going to want to touch it because it doesn't have anything for them to do. I had put out an Instagram lens for the Chicago 1893 project a couple of years ago. And it was basically just a 1-to-1 scale replica of one of the buildings that was on the grounds in 1893. And like, this is, again, it was a building that was like 90 feet tall, 60 feet long on each side. So you could pull this thing up in your phone and walk around it. You had to be outside in a field to walk around it. It got, I think, somewhere around 30,000 uses. I consider that to be a great win. Like, the fact that 30,000 people opened that and walked around that building or even just looked at it for a minute or whatever is awesome to me. And I can tell you the work that went into doing that was extensive, and creating a more dynamic metaverse experience it's not going to be linear. It's going to be exponential in the complexity of creating and launching it.
So I did draft like a building into Centraland, but the thing is they updated the SDK to something else and migrated, and so now I'm dealing with that. So I'm trying to not lose all my work.
Right. That's another thing, is these platforms, the technology, infrastructural and front end constantly is updating and changing. I don't think you can actually boot up the Chicago 1893 experience anymore. I don't think it's there anymore. I know that I can't update it anymore because they discontinued the piece of software that was used to do it, which was Spark AR. Luckily, just happened to be at the right place at the right time, had the assets, had the capability, the compute, all of the hardware to be able to manufacture and launch the thing, and did it. I have video footage of it and available all over the place, and I think there's pictures in the new third edition of the book and stuff. It was cool, and I would do all that stuff again, but that's not a hot sector right now. Maybe in the future it will return to being a hot sector, but right now it isn't. And as much as I like my VR helmet, write your book. Just write your book and get your book done and get your book out. Don't worry about all the other peripheral stuff. Just get your book out. Yeah,
I do tend to get my eyes on different things.
You do, which is okay. But, just launch. Just get something out the door. You can polish it up more over time. You can build on the experience if it's worth it. If there's an audience for that want more or willing to buy more or participate in more, do that then. But don't overcomplicate your mission by adding on all these stretch goals just to launch. Pointless. Totally not worth your time. Just finish your book, get your book out, see how that's received, work on promoting. And here's the thing. I didn't have, again, I'm not a successful author, but I didn't have any real traction with all of my books until I had a few books out. So, I would be able to launch a book and, it would be received, and I would have a little bit of buzz around that release, and then it would taper off. Now, basically, every day, regardless of whether or not I'm putting out a book, and again, I'm putting out one audiobook or possibly ebook bundle a month this year. Every day something is going on with my books in terms of listenership, readership, and same with the video work. It's being watched, it's being purchased and rented. And it's because there's a wealth of material out there that people are able to find the projects. They don't care about me. I'm going to tell you that right now. I do not matter in the grand scheme of my media catalog. People like the stuff. I am inconsequential, So, just put your work out there, let people, I mean, I guess there are some people who might be following me from one medium to another or one project to another. I know there are, and we do love them for that. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot more people that I do not know, have never heard of, will not meet, have no information about, that are buying these books, listening to these books, that are renting the films on Amazon and stuff. And that is perfectly fine and okay. They do not have to like or care about me in any real sense or way beyond that. They are happy to just engage with that stuff and go on about their life.
Yeah, another setback was that my email marketing platform, they decided to terminate me, and they didn't give it like a good enough reason why. I mean, I asked the AI about it. They think it's just bad luck, so I'm just restarting on another email marketing platform. But that was,
What are you doing with a marketing platform?
I mean, well, I mean, I wasn't using the right word. Just to send emails.
Okay, why don't you just use Substack?
The one I was using, it's like free under a certain subscribe.
Yeah, like MailChimp or whatever.
Yeah, and so then that Mailer Lite, then they, I don't know why they terminated me, but so that's a setback because I had like a long welcome sequence, and that takes a while to do. So I have started.
Yeah, your drip campaign.
Yeah, I have started doing it on.
But what are you selling on there? Julianne, what are you selling on that?
It's when you sign up, you get like a productivity list, and then there's a welcome sequence, and
no, what are you selling?
There are some affiliate links for.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to tell you this right now. Like, man, write your book, all this other stuff. I don't like, you don't have an answer for me. Even what you were selling, like an affiliate link to somebody else's product, is what you were going to start an email list on, and you were using, like, you were trying to build an email list for that, man.
Well, it's more, the whole thing is more like a warm up thing and giving like information, and
okay,
the affiliate link is not like a big part of it. I think it's only in like,
but it's the only part where you were going to make any money.
I guess like if you want to say right away, yes.
Yes, right away, making money. Yes, 100%. That is what I am concerned with. And that's what I'm concerned with for you, Julianne, because we've known each other for a few years. I like the experiments. I totally do. But you know what I like more than experiments? That the reason why you don't see other people doing these experiments is because they don't usually pan out in anything. Do stuff you see other people doing.
When I asked the AI about all my ideas, it actually what I liked the best was the Discord idea, because I could like make money quickly on that one.
No, you can't. AI is full of shit. First off, it's going to just tell you, it's going to be very encouraging. It's not going to give you a brilliant idea, because it is only it's only reflecting on what your prompt was as the oracle. It's not going to give you some like mystery thing that nobody's ever found. Man, I'm telling you, Julianne, write your book, write it, get that done, just finish it. I mean, like, I've been doing this space for how long, and you've been talking about the fantasy book. Finish it, just write it, just do that. All this other stuff, like doing a Discord or doing affiliate marketing links with an email list, like, I don't know why you're doing it. I do not understand why you are doing these things, like, at all.
Yeah, I guess I'm like you said, experimenting. And well, here's the thing: I do have I have a regular job, and then I have like on the side. I feel like a really more lucrative to do would be like just building websites, but I don't want to do that. I want to do something that has like passion in it on the side too.
Yeah.
So like the creative writing stuff, that's like more the thing.
Yeah. Do it. Finish it. Yeah. Building websites sucks, man. I did it for a number of years. It's fine, but it's exhausting, especially now. It's like the internet sucks. The internet and the web, it's just totally, just gag me already. It just is the worst. But yeah, put out a book, Julianne. That's why we're here. That's where we're talking about writing and publishing and authorship, not about how do you maximize affiliate linking through your email lists. God, ugh.
Well, I did notice that because I see other people doing it, but I did realize that it seems like you kind of have to. It seems like maybe the best affiliate marketers, they already have something else going on for them, and this is just like a side they put out there and make money. It's not. It might be fun just to do it as a beginner, but I realize it's not like the most lucrative thing all the time.
It's not fun at all. It's not fun in any way. It's just maximizing for fractions of pennies, man. And you have to have a massive audience that is like, you have to basically look, affiliate marketing has been trumped by influencer marketing at this point. If you don't have a massive audience to move eyeballs and buy something right now, then it kind of is ineffective.
Yeah.
You can't build up affiliate marketing for pennies or tiny percentages of a sale or something. And like, you have to, you either are able to capitalize on that with a Instagram post or a massive email list of 10,000 people on day one, or you can't. It's like, don't spin your wheels on that. Go write a book, man. And I'm not telling you you're going to make a bunch of money off of books. You're not. But
I think a weird thing about it is like, I think maybe just from a beginner's mindset, like, oh, just making my first few bucks, it's probably kind of weird. I don't know, maybe like make a few bucks on your side versus your career job. That's like, ooh, wow, but that would probably get old pretty fast when it's like only a few bucks. But I think I just have this weird brand new thing about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not a brand new thing though, because you've been talking about that stuff for a long time. I feel like I've like I've said, Julianne, I've known you for 2 years at this point.
Yeah, I guess personal life. I guess I'm trying to just figure out my ikigai and things like that. So it does get. I know it's more of a scenic view than to
I don't
what
know.
I've been doing.
Don't get sucked up into the nonsense startup crypto hustle culture nonsense. Who cares about that? That sucks and it's boring. And also that was 10, 15 years ago when that stuff was worthwhile. That's over now. That's totally done. They've sealed up all the opportunity. It's closed. You have to be a complete lying shill to break through on anything. And that's not you.
Yeah.
At any rate, write your book, man. Julianne, write a book.
So it is drafted, and
That's
then my
awesome.
mom read it. So now I've been editing it again. So just
put it out.
Well, the next step I was going to have a professional look it over.
Well, you can get beta readers. That would be a thing.
Well, that was for the Discord idea. That had something to do with that.
Well,
but
you don't need Discord to have beta readers. You don't need to create and manage and maintain a Discord just for beta readers is what my point is. All these side missions, these are just distractions. I'm going to be honest with you. They're just stopping you from, they're just little alleyways you're walking down that aren't actually taking you in the direction you want to get to, the destination.
Yeah, that could be true.
I'm just hitting you with my observation over the course of 2 years of listening to you talking, because we used to hang out on the what's his name space in the mornings. That was
Glassy.
Yeah, on Glassy Space.
Actually,
that's where we met.
Speaking of space recently, yeah, those were nice.
Yeah, those were cool. But even by then, even when he was doing that stuff, that whole genre was already cached at that point in time, and you were talking about these same exact things then, and that was 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm just saying, I'm merely saying that if it was going to do something, I think you would have found some kind of sequence of growth with it or success with it. Just write your book, put out a book, man. You'll have more fun with that. That'll be way more exciting than dicking around with affiliate marketing and Discord.
Yeah, because I got my I got my brand new phone in, I guess it was during the pandemic. My old one I couldn't get Spaces on, so then so then I got Spaces, was able to go on Spaces, and then that kind of introduced me to the money Twitter people community. So that kind of
Get away from those people.
yeah, that got me like all into that, and then I got into Web3, which has been fun, a little crazy but fun. So yeah, I guess, yeah, I know we've been could do things faster and better, but I guess just figuring things out.
You don't have to do things faster. You just have to do a thing, just the one thing, and finish it, not be so divergent and testing out, trying to chase little rabbits. It's just not worth it for you. But at any rate, I usually only hang out in here for an hour, Julianne. We're 5 minutes over. So as it is for today, I do appreciate you hanging out. This has gone well, and we'll talk again before too long. Come and hang out in the Tuesday space. Wait, Gonzalo's coming up. Hold on. We'll let him come up and say hello real quick. But we're not going to have a whole additional conversation. Gonzalo, you have 1 minute. Are you here?
Yeah.
1 minute.
What's up?
You come up right when I'm closing down, buddy.
What I just wanted to say to Julianne was to, echo a little bit what you were saying, to focus on one thing, and also to think about what your ultimate goal is, right? My ultimate goal is to make money off my stories, to be able to make a living off of the stories that I write. And I initially came into the space wanting to talk about the craft of building stories. And while I do still do that, that's no longer my main focus, right? My focus now is to slowly build an audience that's interested in not in being taught how to write stories, but in consuming stories, because that's where I want to go. And I am focusing on the one thing. I had 3 or 4 stories that I was working on in the last couple of years, but then this year I decided to go all in on just one, and that's made me advance further than I've ever advanced on any one project. So that's just what I wanted to say. I don't want to take any too much more time. That's what I wanted to say to Julianne there, to help her along a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it is good to see you producing chapters and getting them out. I feel like that's a huge push for you to get something out the door.
Exactly, and that's something that Julianne might be able to use as advice too. I'm doing. I mean, it's different for everyone, but I'm doing it chapter by chapter and through Substack. And I tell people on Twitter about the Substack, so I slowly get people in there, and I only get the people who actually want to read the story, right? And I don't have to think about this daunting task of writing the whole book.
Right.
I'm just thinking about the next chapter. And before, I was thinking about this daunting task of getting the manga done. And I can't do, I tried to do the illustrations myself last year, and I wasn't quite there. My skill level isn't quite there. So then I thought, well, I can start with the book, and that's it's more of a minimum viable product than the manga. So I'm, working on that. But it's all focused towards the one thing, right? So that's something that's helped me a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for hanging out. We do this every 2 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks to do this again. As it is for today, I'm going to close up shop and come and hang out in the Film 3 space. It is linked above. Check out some of the other links, or go to my timeline if you're looking for more information. Writer's Block will be on Tuesday. We'll be talking about negative terms, the opposite of tropes that we did with Gonzalo this week. Hey, as it is, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk again before too long.